All right, y'all are live.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Behind the Chair. My name is Beto Sanchez, and we're here at the Ulta Beauty Salon on Michigan Avenue in downtown Chicago. My name is Beto Sanchez, and I am part of the Ulta Beauty design team. And with me, I also have my work wife and her bestie.
Hello, my name is Zoe Starovich, and I'm a redhead expert and elite stylist here at Michigan Avenue as well. And we're excited to show you our tips and tricks to get some beautiful client hair.
Yes, today we will be showing you some techniques about how to do the styling very efficient. We know that sometimes we're running behind and we don't have the time to do like all of this like beautiful detailed curls and waves. So we want to give you some tips about the things that we do when we feel like we need to do a very efficient styling, but obviously making your color and your cut look beautiful. So today I'm going to be showing you with my guest Karen. We're doing a faux blowout. So the faux blowout is basically going to be how to go from this blowout look in a very quick transition. So the first part that I will do is basically just get rid of a lot of the water and extra moisture of the hair. You will see that with Karen, we already prepped because the most important part of this technique is actually going to be the styling, which I'm going to be using my Platinum Styler. And before I go into the technique, Zoe, what are you gonna teach us today?
So like I said, I'm a redhead expert, and those reds are all about those little finite details and all that dimension you just spent hours putting in. So I'm going to show you a really awesome curl technique that will take you seconds behind the chair, and then their style will be lasting all day long. These ribbons are going to pop through with all of the waves. You're going to see the highs, you're going to see the lows. By pulling it taut, you're going to elongate that style. So you can see as it's setting here. Same with Beto. I'm starting in the back of the head because that's where her most density and most of her weight is in her head. So in order to let that cool and to not manipulate the silhouette too much, I'm going to start back there.
And I love that you're mentioning that it's a love also for clients, not just when you're running behind, but there's a lot of clients that have high density or highly textured hair. So you need sometimes those hacks to like make sure that you are staying on time and the styling doesn't take you like 2 hours, right?
Absolutely.
Like you already had the guest on your chair for perhaps a couple of hours doing the color and the cut. So the styling should be probably one of the most efficient things.
Right. It's my favorite because after they've just spent 5 hours sitting behind the chair with you, you want to get that beautiful photo, but you want to make them standing back here for, another 2 hours.
Beautiful. Well, just to give you an idea about how the faux blowout will work, first of all, like I said, I'm going to work with a power dry. So when I finish washing my client's hair and the hair's still wet, I will towel dry and I will use my GHD Helio styler in order to do the power dry. So what a power dry is, you might be asking. So basically it's going to be kicking all of the water and extra moisture out of the hair, and I always go in circular motion. So usually you want to make sure that you're hitting the root to make sure that all of the wet areas are completely dry. And I'm going to make sure that I do in a continuous motion to make sure that all of that steam is not actually burning your client's hair. So with my blow dryer, while the hair is wet, I'm going to go in the circular motion, and I'm going to make sure that I always have this continuous motion to avoid all of that steam just hitting directly on the scalp. Once I finish with a power dry, and I have about 70% of the hair dry, I will do 4 quadrants. So I'm going to work on the sides and then on the back. And what I'm going to be doing is blow drying with tension. So I'm going to use a detangling brush or a round brush and basically just going to be smoothing in natural fall. So this part of the blowout is going to be just like getting rid of all of that extra moisture, making sure that the hair is really smooth. And this is how your canvas should look before I go in with a styler. Now, once I start working with a styler, you will realize in the sections that I already prepped that I went with zigzag sections. The reason why is because we want to create the illusion of a really full and lots of volume blowout, and you don't want to have those sections showing exactly where you parted. So that's why I go ahead with zigzags. I'm going to start jumping now into my technique with a curling iron and with a styler, but I know that Zoe has some recommendations about products as well.
Yeah, so in order to get her style prepped up, I wanted to make sure that all of this beautiful texture is going to be laying down smooth, but I don't want to close that cuticle too much with the blow dry when I'm prepping. So I gave her just a nice rough dry, and I supported that blow dry with Olaplex's number 9 serum. It's going to lock in all that moisture and shine to show off all the highs and lows within her color, but it's also going to provide you with up to 450 degrees of heat protection with some style memory. So typically my number one complaint when using stylers, when using oils as a styler, is that it's going to take out all that beautiful wave that you just put in. You might brush it through, you want to move those flyaways, but now you've just removed all that texture and volume. So by prepping with the Olaplex number 9, I've now protected her hair against the heat. I've added that shine, and I'm ensuring that when I brush it out, it's going to be beautiful and frizz-free, but not compromising any of that wave. If you see too, I went in with my flat iron. This is my favorite tip with the whole technique. I'll show you better here. So when using the curling iron, I like to preheat the hair a couple times. So my number one mistake when I'm teaching guests, this tip and trick to make sure that their hair looks beautiful at home when they're styling it, is that they're starting at the bottom and winding up towards the head. That's going to cause way too much damage in this over porous area that's already prone to damage. So by me evenly distributing the heat, I'm shutting that cuticle enough that it's going to be shiny, but I'm also telling that heat to work down the hair strand. So I'm starting at the base. Notice how I'm doing a rocking method as well, because I don't want to have any harsh lines from the clamp. Wiggle it out. I call this guy my twist and dip method. So I'm going to go back in, hold that for a few seconds. Now, depending on my elevation and how long I'm letting these curls hold, you can get a customized wave. So the longer I hold and the higher I hold, you're going to get elevation, which is going to give you those really pretty highs and lows. When I pull it down and provide less tension, you're going to get more of a relaxed wave. So for someone who knows that they're going to be going out all night, sometimes I'll set it a little bit tighter for them. But at the end of the night, the style will relax a little bit and won't be so tight.
Hey, Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
What size iron are you using?
So this is my favorite iron. This is the Babyliss Nano Titanium, the XL, because I can fit all this beautiful hair in here without worrying about getting anything stuck into the clamp. And this is the 1 inch. I like 1 inch because I feel like I get that most versatility with it, like I said, depending on how long I'm holding it and where I'm holding it. Sometimes people are intimidated by the 1 inch because they think that's going to get them too tight of a curl pattern, but it's all about how you're manipulating the iron. You see here, even tension, nothing that's whipping that guest's head around. And now I'm going to wind it up, rocking that guy, twist, and dip. Twist. I'm also being mindful of where I'm placing these curls. I'm keeping in mind that I want to do a bricklaying section, so none of the waves just sit on top of each other, because then that defeats the purpose of you going in and putting all that beautiful dimension in underneath the head. When I am mindful of where I'm placing these curls, they will fill in all of each other's gaps versus sitting on top of each other. That way when I brush this out, it's going to be beautiful and flow together versus sticking on top of each other. What are you working on, Beto?
Well, I am, first of all, I'm just like staring at what you're doing, because I feel like every time I'm at the salon here, I learn so much from you. And well, one of the things that you were talking about, and I thought it was really important, is the products that you use to prep the hair. I see that the products that you use, it helps to like go a little bit more smooth with the curling one. So in my case, the prep product that I use is Envigo Neutral and Rich. And this little spray is perfect for the tangling and to give you a lot of shine. As you notice with the power dry that I was talking about earlier, I already have a lot of smoothness and I have that shine reflection that I really love. And now I'm gonna go in and start with my curls. So like I mentioned before, I have zigzag sections. I wanna make sure that I don't have straight lines because those can leave a demarcation line. And when you have that movement with the styler, then you might run into this little lines that you see when you're parting. So the second part of the technique is how to create with my styler a wave that it's going to look a little bit more like a blowout rather than a curl. One of the things that I need to point out is usually when we do a curl, we'll close the styler, we'll give it a turn, and we'll run it down. Here, because it's more of a blowout look, I actually want to over direct it to not give it a coil shape, but mostly just to give it that bend to the hair. So what I am doing is I'm going to close my styler, which this styler is a GHD Platinum Plus. It heats up to 365 degrees temperature. I don't really need any more heat than that because I don't want to damage the hair. I just want to help to style it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the styler, give it a full turn, and I'm actually going to over direct away from the scalp. So if you can think about it like perpendicular to the head. And what that's going to give me, it's going to be a little bit more of a bigger wave. So as you can tell, when you do that technique with a round brush, you get a similar wave, except what the styler and the plates do is giving me a longer lasting style. So when you go into this step, think about like sculpting the hair. Don't think about like doing a specific type of curl. It's almost like you're sculpting the hair to create this really large wave. So once I actually created the wave and I like the way it looks, remember it doesn't have to be too tight. You don't want to have a curl. You just want to have a little bit of a wave. Then I'm going to go in with my hairspray. So the hairspray that I'm using is Sebastian Reshaper. I love Sebastian Reshaper because it does give me high hold, but it gives me the option to keep like brushing through when I am about to style. So once I finish curling, I'm gonna spray a little bit of Reshaper, and then I'm gonna set the curl. The reason why you're setting the curl is to create a lot of longevity and create a stronger shape. So I'm gonna use my fingers. I'm gonna wrap this curl around my fingers and my hand like this. I'm gonna make sure that the curl or even this kind of like loop that you can see is as big as possible in order for the waist to look bigger and not a curl. I'm gonna use my clips and I'm gonna pin it here. And it's important that you do this part of the step while you can feel that the hair is still a little warm. So what happens with the hair when it's being styled is that if you manipulate it too much while the hair is still warm, you won't have a stronger shape. But when you curl it and then you pin it and set it, you're letting this hair cool down and maintain the most longevity that you can with that hair. Now you will also notice that in the lower section and also the lower sections down here, I actually curl towards the face. The point of a blowout to me is always create the illusion of more hair and more volume. So it just makes sense that this hair that is down here, over directed towards the front, it will create a lot of fullness. That way you will avoid to have a lot of fullness in the back, but then nothing in the front. You want to make sure that all of those layers that you created, they're going to be able to like bounce and have a lot of volume in the front. Now that is the section with the bottom, but when I go towards the face, obviously we have this face framing pieces, right? So what I will do is I will turn the styler the same way, but in opposite direction, so away from the face. So same thing, I close the styler gently, I over direct away from the face, and I also over direct the way I'm gliding the curl to create this big wave. You can already tell that this is creating the perfect styling to give you that full blowout look. And if I feel like I have to like go back and just like reshape or adjust, I can always go back and do the same type of curl on the same direction. So same thing, once I already created this curl, I'm going to spray it and I'm gonna set it. Remember that you always set and spray while the hair is still warm. So while it cools down, it will retain the shape. And while I finish doing this, Zoe, what are you doing over there with your curls?
So I am just getting towards the front, and I can show you guys my favorite technique in order to make sure that you have that beautiful volume in front of the face. So as you can see, I've already done it here on this side. You want to be mindful. This is best for guests that have any kind of fringe, those curtain bangs that are super trendy right now. You don't want them to hug the side of the shape of the head, because then it's going to go out and it's going to project the head shape. So what you want to do is preheat. And if you see, I'm taking it at a slight diagonal. I don't want to take it straight on. I'm going to be taking it a little bit at a diagonal. Preheating this guy as well, being mindful of my tension. And starting that barrel at the top, I'm going to make my full curl around. I'm going to find her eye level, and that's where I'm going to start my rocking. Maybe everybody put your head up a little. Perfect. I'm going to start that rocking there.
And you insert the curling iron about what, 4 inches away from the root?
Yeah, you're gonna preheat down the whole strand, and then you'll probably about 2 to 3 inches from the root. It's so customizable. So if you're wanting a tighter curl pattern, start tighter at the root. If you want something that's a little bit more relaxed, I even customize this as much as to take it a couple inches from the bottom, but when I work towards the top, I'm taking it close to the top. So I'm accentuating the volume here while elongating the shape of the silhouette. That way when I comb this out, I'll kind of talk to it nice to get a little volume here while that sets and cools. And like I said, making sure that you're leaving the last couple inches smooth as well. That way when you brush it all out, her silhouette's not going to shrink up. She's still going to have all that beautiful, lovely length, just with beautiful waves in between to show it off. What are you working on now, Beto?
Well, now I'm actually removing the pins, and what I noticed is that because I let it sit for a few minutes and I use that hairspray, look at how big these waves look. And here's a recommendation. If you have a client that has already a lot of layers, you can curl everything in the same direction. In this case with Karen, she has longer layers, and I do want to create a lot of volume. And that is the reason why I'm going in opposite directions. You will notice that, for example, this wave, it goes away from the face, but the next one is going to go towards the face. And then what I'm going to do with the sections as I work on the top, then the next section is going to go an opposite direction from the previous one. And you can also already tell as I am removing the curl, look at the bounce that this gives me.
Ooh.
It's kind of like really hard sometimes to create this type of bounce with hair that is medium to fine, just because it's not able to support the hold. But in this case, the Sebastian Reshaper spray really helped me to maintain that hold, and especially setting these curls, it's what's giving me that extra bounce.
I love that. It looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, you can already tell how like even those like longer layers are actually having a lot of volume. And so as I am unpinning this hair, I will start rearranging it to a point where I can see how I'm gonna style it towards the end. So the same Sebastian Reshaper is going to be the same spray that I'm going to use to create this volumizing look. So these are the sections that I started at the beginning. And you can tell how like once I remove the pin, look how solid this shape is. And it's not necessarily a curl, it's actually a wave that will look very similar to what a round brush look would do.
Very organic. I love it.
Very organic. It totally looks like I spent hours with a round brush, and it actually like only took me, power dry should take you about like 5 to 10 minutes. That's usually when you can tell that 70% of the humidity of the hair is done. And then when you're stretching and you are creating that smooth finish, it should take you about 5 minutes. And then curling is also like a very easy part. You can tell that it only took 1 or 2 passes with my curling styler in order to create these waves. And so this whole section is about 25 minutes, which like if I was being very detailed with a round brush look, it will perhaps take me a long time. And now it's gonna be this moment that everybody loves, which is going to be curling and making sure that these waves look really nice. So if you can look up for me, Karen, a little bit, tilt your hair up, perfect. And now we're gonna go with a combing up moment, which is, oh my God, so nice. This is my favorite part of the styling. This is what you can tell exactly how those waves are going to look. All that strong pattern that you created with your waves, it's like really coming to a final look that looks just so beautiful. And all of this was created with a curling one or with a styler. Remember, I didn't even use the round brush for this. I mostly just prepped the hair. So I'm going to finish dressing this hair so you can see the final result. Zoe, you want to share the last details of your technique?
Yeah, I want to show you what happens sometimes when, so like I said, you want to take the last couple inches of the hair to pull taut so you keep that silhouette. But what happens if it accidentally curls up on you? So that just happened to me down here. So when this gets a little too curly, I'm going to flip my iron upside down. I'm going to go into that shape of where the curl is, and I'm just going to pull down with light tension. See how that's not going to make anything stick straight, and it's not going to cause any harsh lines through there, but it's going to elongate that curl pattern. I'll show you one more time. Enter in, always going the same way that the curler was styled. Perfect. So now I'm going to take my last few pieces. Everything is also going to be away from the face. I heard Beto mention that he has some pieces that are going to be, whatever's sitting next to each other is going to be going the opposite direction. This technique, I'm doing every single thing away from the face. So if it's on the right, I'm being curled right away from the face. If it's on the left, going left away from the face. So I'm doing that rocking method. You can already see how those ribbons are showing off throughout there.
And Zoe, if you had a client with shorter hair than you have right now, would you recommend any technique changes, tool changes, or would you do about the same?
My favorite is actually doing a combination of Beto's technique and mine. Using a styler, the Platinum Plus is also one of my favorites, and in conjunction going through with a curling iron. Because those short, sassy styles are going to be, they really look the most flattered when they're organic versus the really mechanical lines going through there. So that was actually Beto that gave me that tip and trick when he gave me this beautiful haircut. I was like, okay, it's beautiful, but now how do I style it? And going through and using a flat iron to create more of that body bounce wave coupled with this mechanical wave, I really like them in conjunction with each other because everything complements each other nicely. Same thing, I always like to make sure that my silhouette though and my perimeter stays elongated. So if I had someone with shorter hair, this bottom piece, I'm really only beveling. I would not be wrapping it around my curler. I would not be shrinking up that perimeter. I'm really just going to create a little bevel into it so it has a wave pattern to it and it's not sticking stick straight, but it's also not going to shrink up that perimeter and give you a completely different silhouette or style that you were hoping for. I'm going to over direct this even a little bit forward.
I also love, Zoe, that I feel like that technique that you're using can be used for like either beach waves for like a little bit more of a summer casual look,
Absolutely.
but also it can be used for a glam wave, right?
Absolutely. If you decided, I'm only deciding to keep the ends a little bit smoother because that's how my guests prefer to keep their silhouette. But if somebody wanted to have a little bit more of a C shape towards the ends, absolutely. Keep winding up the curling iron and you do the same method. That's why I like just this kind of blueprint. I can customize it based off of my client's needs. If there's somebody who I know gets intimidated by a wave and they don't really want that much styling in their hair, I can go through this and that can take me 2 minutes just to create a polished look for them. But it's very customizable depending on what your specific guest needs are. And then here we have our finished. So now I'm going to go in with my favorite texture spray right now, which is the Andrew Fitzsimons texture spray. It's also really, really good because it has something called Aura Set technology in there, meaning that it is going to it's going to help your dirty hair stay clean. Let me see if I got another one of these because now this nozzle just broke on me. Give me 1 second.
In the meantime, I'm finishing dressing the style. You can tell how much volume it gives you because of the longevity and the way I prep the hair between the pins and also the product that I use. It's giving me so much volume. So the way I like to dress the hair, especially when I want to create the best Instagram post, I always make it look a little more editorial. So what I do is I brush, and remember, because I already set this hair and I prep it with the right products, even if I brush, this wave is not weighing down. It's actually just showing me exactly what it wants to do. So I'm just letting the wave kind of like show me where does it want to go and where does it want to curl. So once I have a right shape, I go in with my Sebastian Reshaper. Remember, it's the same hairspray that I use to prep, but also it's giving me high hold. So I'm just making sure that everything looks more editorial, following specific lines, following all of these big waves that I created with my styler. And then the last thing that I really like to do, Karen, can you help me tilt your head like this? Yeah, perfect. So once I have like this little gap, I actually use the hairspray and I give it and open it up a little bit more.
I love that.
To make it look extra big. Now on the other side, Karen, please. Thank you very much. So I extend this hair around here, I create this volume. And I'm using the same can from the hairspray. Since it's kind of like round, it helps me to really frame the face. And now it's giving me all of this extra volume and extra bounce that I need.
Ooh.
So as you can tell, all of the curling really took me about like 10 minutes in the back, and then all of the sections in the front, it was really about 5 minutes. So I'm getting a really good technique that is gonna help me to make everything more efficient. And that way, all of the time that I use for my cutting and my coloring, it's actually showcasing the best. We need to remember that styling and finishing is one of the most important tips and skills, because really all of that time that you are using it, you have to show at the very end. And the client is when it has this wow moment of like, oh my God, I can see exactly where the layers are and all that dimension. And the last tip that I'm gonna give you today, I'm also gonna use Sebastian Dark Oil. So this is my favorite oil because it's a product that doesn't weigh down the hair. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna apply a little bit of Sebastian Dark Oil, and then I'm going to use the same Sebastian Reshaper. I'm gonna cartel it in my hands. And what this is doing is neutralizing each other. So it's giving me the best of both worlds. The oil is giving me that shine and that definition, and the spray is giving me the hold. So that way, the oil doesn't get any heavier on the hair because it's being neutralized by the alcohol in the hairspray. And also, the hairspray is not getting too crunchy or like a tacky feeling because the oil is neutralizing that hold. So I love to use that combination. You can tell how the hair looks extra shiny. It gives it a lot more definition, and it does give it a lot more movement once you're applying the product. So this is the final result, and this is the final technique. And Zoe, how are you doing over there? Are we ready to comb through?
That looks absolutely beautiful. I love that. Before I comb it out, I wanted to show you guys my visual for the bricklaying. So you can see here how every single curl is not sitting on top of each other. There's going to be a neighbor to every single one. So now starts the good stuff. Work through. Sometimes I like to use a wide tooth comb. Sometimes I like to just use my fingers. Sometimes I'll use a brush. Depends on every single guest's hair type. As I'm opening it up, I set it with that Andrew Fitzsimons. Opened up each wave, put the Andrew Fitzsimons spray in, which I'll do again.
Isn't that everybody's favorite part? Like,
Oh
I just
my
love
gosh.
to see hair being brushed like that. It looks so beautiful.
You guys could feel this, smell this. It's good stuff over here.
Hey, Zoe,
Yes.
could you repeat what iron you used again?
Sure, I'm using the Babyless. This is going to be the Nano Titanium, the XL barrel. This one's going to be in the 1 inch, but it also comes in 1.5 for more of a relaxed wave if you're looking for something that's a little bit closer to Beto's. So I'm really just going to brush this through. Forward. And so you see here how she has that beautiful curtain opening around the face. It's not sitting on the head. If she had a curtain fringe, that would just show that money piece off perfectly. Like that. All the ribbons, nothing sitting on top of each other. And if you want to, you can go back through with your Olaplex number 9. Because it is so lightweight and it enhances that shine and moisture, feel free to run your fingers through here.
I seriously feel like I'm in a regular salon day with you, Zoe. You guys should know we actually work across from each other, so we're totally like, it's just like getting a lot of inspiration about the styles that we both do here at the salon. Ulta Beauty. It's very, very nice to just have somebody that you can learn from and have a great salon team. This is just 2 of us, but you should see when we have a full house here, it's a party. Like everybody's learning from each other. Every time I see Zoe using these techniques, I always get inspiration from that. So it's truly a pleasure not just being here in a behind the chair live with you guys, but also like at the salon, which this is our everyday.
This is our home. This feels beautiful. Thank you so much.
So I hope you guys learned so much from today's technique. If you guys need any extra information, feel free to reach out to us through a DM. You can find me on Instagram at Beto Loves Hair. And Zoe, what's your Instagram?
You can find me at Zoe Star Styles, ending with a Z. Any product questions, hair questions, Ulta questions, we're your people.
Absolutely. And you should know also, we're in the Chicago area, we're in Chicago downtown, and we are looking for assistants. So if you need to apply, go to ulta.careers.com. Is that what it is? Yes, careers.ulta.com. We'll put it in the comments for you guys to know, careers.ulta.com. Or you can just reach out directly to us via DM. We'll give you all of the information. And it's a really great program to get stylists started with hands-on in the salon with real clients. So anything else you would like to add, Zoe?
No, just thank you so much for taking the time today. This is such a fun time. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.
Enjoy.
Bye.